Hi everyone, I'm Grahtles and welcome back to another episode of the Best Start 2 series, and welcome if you've never been here before. This is episode 12, and by the way, I have a Best Start 1 and 2 series, and both do a little bit different things. So yeah, feel free to check out it. I have playlists for both of them. So anyway, today we are still not making one item that's being made off-site, and that's Caterium. We also need to make stators and motors because we can't get through the tiers 5 and 6 without motors. So we need to definitely get a jump start on that and continue to make stuff that we can make, like computers and circuit boards and AI limiters and all that good stuff as we progress. But today's episode, Caterium, I want to get to that. Before we go on, I did do another logistics floor, as you can see in the middle here. Again, to tie in different levels into our mega factory. Let's jump in over here. This is going to be very important that I added this logistics floor, as it's going to connect this, which is our wire, here. So I did do a little prep work here. And the reason being is, let's go over, I'll show you the numbers, and that's going to be why I have to do a little prep work, because I have to figure out spacing and where I'm going and numbers, and it just helps to have it so I'm not stumbling when you guys arrive. So 480, that is our belt speeds. Let me show you logistics with Mark 4 and transports up to 480 resources per minute. So the next step is going to be smelting. So the best way to do this is 480. The best numbers for that are 6 and 8, because 6 times 8 is 48. So if we smelt this at 60 per minute, we'll come up with 20 per minute on the ingots. If we take that and come over to here, if we bring it in 20 per minute, we'll be able to make 100 Quickwire per minute. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to need 8 machines to match the 8 smelters, and I don't need a manifold style or a splitting style. We're just going to take what's being made in per smelter to per constructor. So I hope that makes sense, and that's why I did a little setup. So let's see, we're going to jump over to here and slide jump up over here, perfect, and jump into here. So anyway, I am going to put this back a second so I can get up here, show you how I want to set these up. The output's going to be to the middle, which is very different compared to what we usually do. And the outputs are this way, and that is because if I do this, then each smelter will have their own constructor, and the input will be in the middle. The output will be here, going to the input to the output. This building, the inside floors, that's not an inside floor, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 by 7. That is because we have the 4 machines and we have the front piece so you can walk around. And this will be like half or whatever we have there, and no, this will be a full floor. Yeah, so it gives us one foundation to walk around our building a little bit, so not too bad. This will be belted up after we set up our smelters. So let's jump down here, and what I like to do is I like to line everything up on foundations, and this way it helps me. Constructors take up one foundation. So if I take this smelter, I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to line it up with the other machine right there. And that's going to be where we place it. And you get that little blue line. And as long as I center it right there, we're good. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, this I am in right before we hit that centerpiece. I'm hoping we get this right before we get to that centerpiece. Is that correct? That's the line there. That's the line before the foot. before the foot. That looks perfect. All right, so now we're just going to line that up with that one and center it to the foundation. Perfect. So that's going to be our input. We're going to just take this and run it down. It's a big world. Make yourself some space. You don't need to fit things super tight if you don't want to. If you want to make it tight, go by all means, but I don't make it tight. I like to have big expanding buildings that give me room to walk around and so forth and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway, these are mergers. Okay, these are mergers, and they're gonna take this right here and put it out just on this side. So we're just gonna be bringing these out, and this is our logistics floor. So our logistics floor lines up perfectly with that. That is why it's good to put the logistics floors in first and build your buildings around it to have one big mega factory. So anyway, we're going to set up these constructors pointing in. They are already set up. Whoops. They're already set up. Now another thing to keep in mind, we need 2 lines of this Caterium because they're 100 per minute. If they're 100 per minute, that's 400 already. So we could not do both, or otherwise it would be 800 per minute if we merged these. So that is why we needed them separate. So since they're already set up, I can just hit Control, and that will line them up perfectly. There we go. And flip it around. Let's come back to the first one so we make sure it's perfectly lined up. And the reason being is, again, I used a lift, and I'll show you how I did it, but let me just get these guys in. How to get that to line up perfectly. I'm just going to finish getting these tied in and these tied in. So how I figured out where these foundations, holy crap, smelters were going to sit. Let me just take these out. So I ran a lift like this down. And then once I figured out, I moved it, which nudged into I nudged the smelter. Oh my god, can't speak today. Into these lifts, and that is how I found the perfect height for all these guys. Now I don't use a lot of the floor holes and stuff. Sometimes I think it messes up the numbers or it just doesn't connect right, and so I could put them in after just for looks, but for now I just do this and it's fine, and we could take care of the clipping with adding some floor holes later on if we want to. So anyway, let's get this in here, move it over to here. We're definitely going to need some lights. I can definitely paint this and this now, as well as these guys and you. So now we have to go back and grab that Caterium. I'm going to want that to come in here. And maybe we should do it right underneath the building here, which kind of makes a little sense. And let's go under the building here. We're going to want it to come right into here. So I'm just going to take this and do this. And do this under the building here. So now I know that this is sitting right on the edge here. I'm going to grab a belt, turn it that way, and then get that nice and neat. There, it snaps right in. And now I can take this and use it as a guide to bring it around to grab our Caterium. Yeah, that should work. I am going to let's step this down. I don't really want this big thing right there like that. We could. That's going to be the side of the building. Yeah, let me just take this a second. This is just giving me my boundaries of where my building is going to sit. And I'll know better. So that's the outside of the building. So now I can actually go in here and press E and bring it down to here. Yeah, I think I want it there. And then we're going to zoop this. Let's come over to here a second. I want to clean up some of this mess. So I'm just going to take this dimensional depot off of here. And I'm going to take that off of there. And I'm just going to disconnect the smelter. And that. Next, I'm going to set up a sink over here to collect this stuff. Because we're going to sink all our Caterium. It will be up and running really soon. And we'll have plenty just to use for whatever we're using it for right now. So let's do that. And we're going to turn the sink on. And we're going to get some tickets. So in case you're wondering, when I did the steel the last episode, I did exactly the same thing. I just sunk everything. And to get the most out of the ingots and stuff, I just let this run out. So I'm just going to take that off. There we go. I could take the splitter off. That's going to just continue to get those going. Once these ingots run out, I'll throw what I have in my inventory into here. For now, I'm also going to take this Mercer sphere and throw it in here. Let's figure out where our foundation's going to run. I think we can come right across into here. And we could also change the way our... I don't even know what we're doing here. We could change the way this guy is sitting as well. Now, I don't know if I want this floating in the air so much once it gets to here. I might do a platform. Let's come to here. And we're going to go with not that. Maybe a 1. Yeah, I think I could do a 1. That would make way more sense. Take out that one. Click on there. I'm going to bring that down. Bring that across here. And actually, let's do that again. Bring this down. Just want some kind of neater kind of setup here. I'm just going to bring it down as far as it goes. It makes sense. And then I can pull it off of there anywhere I want, which it actually ended up being not horrible, but let's take that off. There we go. Let's take it from here. We could do that. That would be fine. And then we'll make that come on up that way. So, whoops, I hit escape again. I hit escape a lot. Alright, I'm just gonna throw the rest of the ingots in here. Perfect. And they're gonna just go. I'm gonna get some concrete and move this like this. And I don't like those notches. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an inverted one from here. Come down to there. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and get concrete on this. There we go. That just looks way more cleaner. And I didn't do an inverted ramp there. There we go. And then we're going to grab here. And there. All right. That looks a lot better. I am definitely going to get rid of that a second. And let's come on over to here. We're going to set that back up. Minor 2. We'll just come this way a little bit. And let's go ahead and grab some power. because we're going to need it for our factory anyway. So let's do that. All right, so let's see where we're going to come here with these electric. We're going to come off to the side here, obviously. 3 and 4. Nope, and 4. There we go. All right, so I think what we'll do is let's do the same thing on the other side, actually. Makes the most sense. That is wrong. All right, let's go into Q. Power. And grab an outlet for here. Here. And then I also want to run one. Maybe we could do that. And then run it here. All right, so let's set this up. I'm going to press 2. And that's going to give us electric to there. Alrighty. So, now that we got power on this floor, we could put the floors back. And we should probably take a little walk upstairs here. Let's do this so we can set up power here. Alright, so I need power up here. And I don't have power exactly here. So what I'm thinking is possibly over by here. Let's see if we can take that from here to there. Eventually I might put in some like street things or something like that. I don't like that it's on that angle. I want it to come up straight. So let's come to the edge here. A little better. So yeah, I think I'm going to do some power things. But anyway, I gotta connect this now to this guy. And now I can bring that up and across. So by the way, I have to hook all these up. I put all the foundations back without hooking up our power. Alright, so next I'm going to delete this pole. And I'm going to take this and run it and connect power to this. Again, this would be so much easier if I could connect this like this and put it to the side. But for some reason, it will only make poles for me. And I don't really know why. There we go. So now we'll be able to get rid of all these messy power poles throughout here. This is super annoying because it's so ugly and ridiculous looking. Let's see if it finished. It did, so we can get rid of all these. We don't need power anymore. But now our sink is not sinking. But that's fine because we have a power outlet right there. So that's fine. We can let that finish up. So anyway, now we got to run this up. Because this is on a curve, it's going to be a little wonky. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go into here. And this is on default. And when you get up to the peak here, I like to stop it. I'm going to bring it to about there. I'm going to bring it to the edge here. Press R, go straight, turn it. Here, I'm going to need another one of, let's take that down, a lift. Turn it around. And this will go directly into there. Then you can put your wall back in. Again, if you don't like this clipping in like this, just go into logistics, grab a wall. Now, see this doesn't work? Go into walls, place it on there. Now, logistics and wall, and you can place it like that. H, you can move it up a little bit, nudge it up, there you go. And then remove the wall and it's fine. It looks like it belongs there. I'll come around, say to here. And then I'm going to just do default to there. Fairly neat, fairly clean, nothing crazy. Alright, let's just keep an eye on these guys. These guys are just going to keep going. That's fine. I'm just picking up some gifts along the way. And because this is manifold, these are going to fill up first because they're the closest. I do have some left over ore that I'm just going to fill up the first machines with. There we go. Next, I'm going to head upstairs. These are working because it's actually getting ingots. Again, this is going to be a catch-up game where they have to fill, and then these will fill up with the wire, and then it'll be pretty much done. I'm going to just stick that in there, and that's that. Storage. So these are going to go onto here eventually when we need to bring that out into the logistics area. So we could put some storage in between. What I'm thinking is I might have this. Let's see how many we could fit. I might have this. Do this. And then. And turn around. And I know we're getting into our building here. That's not a big deal. Because I'm not sure I'm going to leave that. I might just put glass. So that's fine. So anyway, I could have that go like that. And then this go like that. And then this come back out onto the floor. So we'll have a good amount stored in. I see where I'm coming with this one. That comes in and there. That on the edge there? Perfect. Alright, and then that is going to flip around. There. So we'll have a decent amount of storage. And then these will definitely come out and go on to the logistics easily enough. So when I put this miner 2 back in, I forgot to overclock it. And that is why this the ore was going in so slowly. And we weren't getting enough ore in there to make the ingots. So always double check that when you remove something, that you put it back in properly, because that can happen, and I do it all the time. So yeah, I just wanted to just make sure you knew that I knew that I did not have power shards in that miner. Alright, so now that I know my miner is making the right amount of putting out the right amount of ore, it is time to figure out how we want to do this. Now, I did bring these here because we're not going to be able to we needed storage. I wanted to put in storage, so I'm just going to go like this and like this. Now the front of our building is going to be coming inward, obviously. So this is where you can make some different designing choices because you have things set up a little bit differently. I'm going to take this, bring it to here. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to grab this and bring that to there. So now that's going to look like that. I'm okay with that. This is going to come up. And that's going to hit that floor, which means I got to get rid of that. And then I can bring that up. And the same thing's going to happen here. We'll paint that when we get up there, which means that's going to be white. And that's going to be white, which means I can make these columns come down as white if I want to. There we go. This still bucks out And I'm thinking what we might do is an inverted ramp or something like that. So let's go into our inverted ramps and run this. Damn it. Doesn't zoop. Like that. All the way across. And make this, let's do coated concrete. I think we might do the outside of the building in this kind of coated concrete. We could even do in here coated. But if I do that top one, which it doesn't get seen, so it's fine. If I did that in the coated concrete, I'd have to make that a different color. But because that comes down like that, that works out perfectly. So now I can take this, maybe come across there. And that will be the windows of that part of the factory. Let's see how we want to put these windows. Let's go into windows. I want to try to use a different window style. Maybe these guys, the panel ones. Kind of like that. For at least the lower end. Might be the whole thing. I don't know yet. I'm going to put these right to the edge here. Which I kind of like. Like that. We can actually then do away with that. Or we could push them in. Let's see what they would look like. Even just a touch pushed in. I'm going to H and bring it back 1 and put it in. Just so it's a little offset. If I do that and I remove the concrete behind above it, it's going to be missing something, right? It's going to be missing that edge. There. Kind of do like that inset like that. But I'm actually not liking that this doesn't match there. And maybe do one window. And it's probably because of that extra column there. Let's come out and take a look. You know, I don't like that. I don't like this ramp here. I might do it like that. And then if we did the window color, like a white color. Let's see what the inside looks like here. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm trying to think. So this is the hardest part, is kind of figuring out how you want your building style to look. This, I think I'm going to bring this way. I might do away with this wall here. I'll bring this wall this way. And let's see. This and this I'm going to get rid of. This I got to figure out how tall I want to make this. Probably at least this tall. Bare minimum. I might make it go up 1. I also want to make, again, the outside of this in this plastic coated concrete. Let's get rid of you. So I have to actually get more plastic. I'm making that kind of on the fly. So I'm definitely going to have to address that very soon. Alright, so I think I got everything coated in that coated concrete. There we go. And let's get back up here. Alright, so this we said we were going here. Possibly. Gotta zoop it again, apparently. All right, let's stand over here a second. I'm just going to remove this so I can see a little bit better. So that's the top, that's the bottom, I think. So we have to have this extra. What I think we're going to do is, where we had that inverted ramp before, I think we're going to place it here. I think it makes way more sense. And I think I'll like it a lot better. Let's do the coated. There we go. And another thing we might do is do a ramp here. Try to make it look a little bit uniform. There. I might actually take these ends and do that. These windows will make, I think, the same ones. Actually, let's take that one because it has the white already painted. We're just going to bring it in by one. Just so it's a little inset. I do not mind that. This, I might bring this all the way across like this. And then here, that's where it's going to come out. Let's see. Walls. We could do something like that. But I don't like it there. Bring it back a little bit. And I hate these walls, honestly. But I think by doing that, it'll look fine. Come out to the logistics floor. I think that'll look pretty good. I think that'll be good. What I might want to do is maybe over in here, we raise this up. Come on. There. And do sort of like we did down below with that kind of raised look around the edge. And I think that'll look better. I think that'll look much better. Kind of keeps it encased a little bit there. And we could do the same on this side. We'll just go like that. And eventually I'll run this all the way around. I'll probably do it on the top part as well. I think it just looks better like that. Can we get in from this? I don't know. Should we put a door on here? Maybe a door in here and a door over there? Possibly. Might not look bad. Oh, let's see what we're going to use here. Maybe a roll-up gate. Not that one. Not that, not that, not that. That. And let's paint that white. There we go. And we'll put the door in there. Yeah, we could do it that way. So you could flip this so you could see that the doors will open a certain way. Although that door is not opening. There we go. I might like it the other way, but it's fine. It's fine. Does it really matter? It doesn't really matter. Doesn't even fucking matter. Alright. So now, as far as the roof goes, let's see what we want to do here. I need a ladder. So this goes to here like that. I might do the same thing on this side. So let's delete this. There we go. Let's go grab this. I need it to suit, please. And there. Alright, so we kind of need a roof on this guy. And I don't know if I like this glass look the way it is here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this off. And I have an idea. Alright, I think by squaring that off and giving that more solidness there, I think that looks better. Because the bottom is so thick with like the big columns. And I just think that looks better like that. Alright, so let's try something a little different. I'm just going to go with a 1 meter foundation. I'm just going to cover the inside of this. Whoa, did not want to do that, but it's fine. I forgot I changed the height. So, if we do this, I'm thinking what we're going to do is then take this, bring it up by 1 here, possibly 2. And I think we're going to go with a 1 meter. Like that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I just want to give it a little bit different of a shape. Just to give us a little bit more interest. I think what we might do here is let's take a foundation. To make that coated concrete. Now we have to do the corner ones, which would be, is that it? No, it's actual corner. There we go. Which I should have made it concrete. Not concrete, the coated concrete. There we go. Honestly, I don't mind that. I don't mind it. It gives us some interest. I like that. Could we hop up here? Not really. Probably. Slide jump works. Maybe up in here. Let me go into foundations again. Maybe we do one of these half circles. There's no middle exactly. Alright, let's take a look at what that looks like. Come down to here. So I like looking at older buildings, older, taller buildings, and sometimes they have like different ventilation systems and different things going on in the roof. And I'm just trying to add some interest by doing something like that. Another thing I might do is take these corners off and not make them so harsh. That doesn't work though. That's where that guy would come in. I think that would look even better. And let's do that on all the corners here. Takes that harshness off of the corner. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that'll work. Alright, so I'm going to paint this. And again, going with the theme, I'm going to do Caterium for a lot of it. Alright, so I just got to finish up putting on some of these windows and coloring the roof, putting in a front door. I think I'm going to make this a little softer. I could either do a ramp and then let's do that in actually let's do concrete and then let's do a railing. But that ended there. I think I should end this one there. I don't know why I went so far. So let's press G, take that out. There we go. Alright, I kind of like that. Alright, so now we just got to go back up, color the roof. So let's do that. And we got to put the windows in. So I'm going to put the windows in, finish up the roof, and I'll be back. Alright, so I made a few changes. I actually bucked this out, just like the upstairs. It made sense. It looked funny being in. Let me show you out here so you can see what I'm talking about. And I brought the staircase out. I didn't want it to the edge, but it looks better that way, I think. I did do a Caterium sign there. And then we still have this spot over here for these guys to come out for our logistics floor here. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's going to conclude our Caterium mega factory, part of our mega factory build. And if you like my content and you want to see more, like, subscribe, comment, share. I have memberships, 99 cents, $2.99. For the $2.99, you get a shout out at the end of each video, and that is above and beyond. I just that you watch and you clearly here to the end, I appreciate it. So I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.